This is Michael Popok, LegalAF. I'm putting on the big mouse ears. We're going to talk about Disney versus DeSantis. And the final round here, we're done with the fight. Disney's no longer fighting Ron DeSantis in his retaliation against Disney for taking the right corporate response in favor of the LGBTQ community when they took a position against passing of the Don't Say Gay series of laws in secondary school education in Florida. And in a very non-conservative way, small c conservative, Ron DeSantis a year ago decided to retaliate against Disney for expressing itself under the First Amendment, for protecting its customers and visitors to Disney World and Disneyland, many in the LGBTQ plus community, including them sponsoring Gay Pride Day and the like. It's been going on for years at Disney, and they took a position. And Ron DeSantis, running for office, always looking for a grift, and in this case, promoting his new book about what great character he supposedly possesses, timed the signing of the bill with his book tour. And in the book, oh, this should come as no shock, is his view of a conversation or two that he had with the then CEO of Disney, Mr. Chapek, Bob Chapek, in which he told Bob, don't take on this fight, Bob. You're going to lose. Don't succumb to the woke mob. Follow us here. You operate in China. You don't argue about things that happen in China. So you got Ron DeSantis basically comparing how he's running Florida, get this, in his own book, to the way communists and the dictatorship runs China, by saying, you're not fighting China, Bob. Disney doesn't fight human rights violations there. Don't go after what I'm doing in Florida. Same thing. I mean, this is the guy that's going to run for president. He keeps making those kind of analogies and metaphors on the campaign trail. He's going to get his you-know-what handed to him really quickly. But Disney, they're in this for the 100 and 200 year run. And they don't want to pick a fight with Ron DeSantis. And Ron DeSantis may not even be there a year from now or 5 years from now. And they're in this for the long haul. Walt Disney flew over Central Florida many years ago in the late 50s and 60s and bought up property on the sly and created what has become a 40-acre self-governing body, which is referred to as the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Well, it was until today, and now the name has been changed by DeSantis, and that's all that's really been done here, is pure window dressing, to the Central Florida Tourism Oversight Board or some BS like that. It's just another board that Ron DeSantis can pack with all of his fundamentalist Christian, right-wing MAGA, Federalist Society friends, just like he's done in the community colleges and liberal arts colleges that are public in Florida, changing out all of their governing bodies, just like he's done in school districts in replacing all of their boards of education with his lackeys, with his bootlickers. He's doing it again, this time with Disney. So what's all the hubbub about? Why are we even talking about this? Because when Disney was created, they got a special taxing district established for them in 1967. It was a fair trade. It's a barter system. We're going to come and become the largest employer in the state of Florida. And in return, you're going to give us bonds to build all of the properties and amusements and hotels and infrastructure that we need. This was basically swampland, kind of in the middle of Kissimmee and Osceola County in Florida. Nothing was going on there, old citrus fields and the like. And Disney said, we'll come in, we'll build the Magic Kingdom and everything that goes with it, but we need breaks. So Florida then, when it wasn't controlled by right-wing radicals and anti-conservatives, they decided that's a good thing. We'll give you a taxing break. We'll let you issue bonds to build municipal bonds at a lower rate, to let you build the infrastructure necessary to run everything. And you'll in return pay bondholders, including the state, billions and billions and billions of dollars over the last 50 years. And this new territory that you've taken over, this 40 acres that you've taken over or more, will give you self-governing, but you take on all the costs and expenses related to it. So in this case, There's almost $100 million a year in expenses to provide fire, water, safety, education, electricity, and everything else for this district. You know, it's its own community, it's its own town. And all the Disney said, all right, we'll take on the $100 million a year. We'll pay off the billions and billions of bonds. But here's a couple of things we require. This is all written down in a written compact between the state and Disney, and reflected in bond terms and bond conditions and the Florida Constitution and everything else. And here's what our requirements are, said Disney. One, don't impair or interfere with our contracts, our bonds, the relationships that we're making, the money that we're getting. And if you do, we're not going to pay on the bonds anymore because you've undermined our underlying ability to tax, to collect money in order to pay on the bonds. If you impair our contracts, this whole thing goes bye-bye. This is the calculus that Ron DeSantis, he's too smart by half, even though he went to Yale Law School, never got. That if he fired back at Disney, they would fire back at him and walk away from billions of dollars of debt service on the bonds and walk away from paying $100 million to run the government, the self-governing body of Reedy Creek Improvement District. Duh, that's what's going to happen. So where does that fall? It falls on the taxpayer shoulders of neighboring cities and counties in and around Disney that'll now have to provide all of the fire, safety, security, water, energy, power, roads, infrastructure improvements and all of that, because Ron DeSantis just told Disney to go F themselves. So of course that didn't make him very popular in Florida. He said, that was a big bill that I passed in January. Forget that. We're going to fix it in February. We're going to leave Disney in place. We're going to let them, we're not going to touch their bonds or their ability to generate money related to it or to pay the taxes, and we'll let them continue to contribute all the money to run Reedy Creek. But my five people on my board, these fundamentalist Christians and these right-wing Federalist Society members, they're going to run things.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. Look, everyone knows how annoying cheap razors are. The cuts, the irritation, the frustration. And don't get me started with subscription razor services, the headaches that those can cause. That's why you gotta meet Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving is a family-owned aerospace parts manufacturer that has made parts for the ISS. That's the International Space Station and Mars rover. And now they're bringing precision engineering to your shaving experience. Razor blades, they're like diving boards. The longer the board, the more wobble. The more wobble, the more nicks, cuts, and scrapes. A bad shave, it isn't a blade problem. It's an extension problem. By using aerospace-grade CNC machines, Henson makes metal razors that extend just 0.0013 inches, which is less than the thickness of human hair. That means a secure and stable blade with a vibration-free shave. It gets better. The razor has built-in channels to evacuate hair and cream, which makes clogging virtually impossible. Seriously, Henson Shaving wants the best razor, not the best razor business. That means no plastic, no subscriptions, no proprietary blades, and no planned obsolescence. The Henson razor works with standard dual-edge blades to give you that old-school shave with the benefits of new-school tech. Once you own a Henson razor, it's only about $3 to $5 per year to replace the blades. My first shave with the Henson razor was incredibly refreshing. The design is sleek and the durability is top-notch. The Henson razor is truly so much better than your run-of-the-mill quote-unquote traditional razor brand. And the affordability factor is absolutely game-changing. No more wasting your money on expensive blades. With Henson Shaving, you can get a year of blades for just $5. Okay, so this is what you have to do. It's time to say no to subscriptions and yes to a razor that'll last you a lifetime. Visit hensonshaving.com/legalaf to pick up the razor for you and use our code LegalAF and you'll get 2 years worth of blades free with your razor. Just make sure to add them to your cart. That's 100 free blades when you head to hensonshaving.com/legalaf and use code LegalAF. And now back to the video.
So as somebody said in the paper I saw today in one of the media reports, it's like Disney is now in like the lowest minimum security prison, like Club Fed, where they get to do most everything, but the guards are around them constantly. Now they're going to have to say pretty please with sugar on top whenever they want to like extend a section of Disney or develop a new park or redevelop something or change a road's direction. They're going to have to go ask this 5-member board. They used to have to ask a board of the Reedy Creek Improvement District, but that was really jam-packed with all the people that had ties to Disney and weren't going to buck them. So now they're going to have to go on bended knee every time they need something major. The reality is there's still ability to grow. For those that haven't been in the middle of Central Florida in Orlando, there are still areas of growth. I mean, there's still blueprints for Disney to continue to grow and develop and regrow. They're not done with that park. You know, the Walt Disney vision isn't done, and there's plenty of property to do it. But now, for as long as DeSantis is still there, they're going to have to go ask this 5-member board to do it. But, you know, what does this demonstrate on this hot take that I'm doing now? One, DeSantis doesn't think through things properly and almost blew hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of revenue that would have come to Florida and or fall on taxpayer shoulders for no good reason other than he's retaliating against Disney. Second thing we learned is, you know, Disney capitulated. This bill does not get signed today unless Disney bends over and lays down, and Disney bent over and laid down. They don't want a drawn-out fight with Ron DeSantis and the MAGA right wing in Florida. They have already issued their press release, which says, we will operate within the new regime that's been installed upon us. We operate in lots of different government settings. Hint, hint, China, and we do fine there. So this one will learn to live with the changes, because they don't want a 20-year litigated fight with Ron DeSantis or the next Ron DeSantis dragging their brand through the mud. And they're making so much money generally over time in Florida that it's not worth it. It's not worth the fight. The juice is not worth the squeeze. They're not going to do it. But don't be fooled by this tough guy, dictator, I'm a little China, person at the Reedy Creek Fire Department today, where for his bill signing. That was the kickoff of his book tour, and that's after all of his people scrambled back to Disney to try to figure out a way not to get sued by Disney for First Amendment violations, for violations of the Florida Constitution, for violations of the federal Constitution, everything related to impairment of contracts, and they got Disney to lay down by conceding to them. The things they're bragging about is the minor compromises they reached with Disney. And then they told Disney to, look, we're going to really be tough on you today at that firehouse because I need that media attention. Don't worry about that. We have a deal, but I'm going to really pillory you and I'm going to take you on today at the firehouse. Okay. Don't say anything. Just issue a press release that's neutral. And Disney said, okay, that's fine with us, because Disney is in the business of business, right? They're in the business of entertainment. They're in the business of making money in Florida and at all their other properties. They're not in the business of taking on, China, Duarte in the Philippines, or, the European Union over French Disney, or now Ron DeSantis. So don't be fooled, though, to think that this is all being shoved down Disney's throat. They have been in negotiations with the governor and the governor's office all this time, and this is the result. And they're not going to sue, and they're not going to litigate, and they're not going to bring a constitutional challenge. And so there's that. They get to keep their taxing district. They get to keep their bond and their ability to issue bonds. They get at low interest rates to do the improvements that they want to do in Disney. And all they've given up, they get their district, and all they've given up is they're not going to be running the board, and they're going to have to go in each time and ask for something. And it was sort of a fait accompli and rubber stamp before, and now it's going to be a little more of hoop jumping and grandstanding and all of that by the people that have been handpicked to pack the board on behalf of DeSantis. And all of this, we're trying to rip away when we do a hot take here. And I do these, about once a day on something that's in the intersection of law and politics. And then we do it on the MeidasTouch network on Wednesdays and Saturdays on the top legal and political podcast called LegalAF that I co-anchor with Ben Meisalis on Saturdays and Karen Friedman-Agnifilo on the Wednesday edition. And this is the kind of stuff that we do. We bring it out, but we talk about the many, many layers of the story, the layers of the legal analysis, the political overlay related to the legal analysis. And then we kind of do it like an exploding diagram where we give you what happened, why it happened, what it looks like from the front, but what's really going on in the back. And that's what the takeaway should be here. Disney laid down. Disney got most of what they wanted. They got more than half a loaf in terms of their autonomy, now being governed by 5. DeSantis got what he wanted because he got to say that there's an end to corporate kingdom in Florida and wag his finger and launch his book. And he gets to pack it with all of his friends and act tough before he runs for office. And Disney gets to go on making money and being the #1 employer in the state of Florida. So that is the hot take for today for Michael Popok on the fight between Ron DeSantis and Disney, which ended today with the signing of the bill creating the new district that Disney's going to stay in, get its tax breaks, continue to run and lay out the money for that. And Ron DeSantis gets his BS campaign slogans and literature out there, and everybody lives happily ever after. Michael Popok reporting.
The best part of waking up? MAGA Tears in my cup. Check out the new MAGA Tears mug available now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com. It's 100% union made right here in the USA. I know I'm not tired of winning yet. How about you? Get yours today.